The United Nations Human Rights Commission has for the first time talked about economic crimes. Sri Lanka has featured there because of the war in the past on human rights violations, and several steps were taken by our past government. Missing persons office was created, a reparations office was created, structures were put in to create reconciliation, and a lot of work was done, including handing back lands that were taken over by the state during the war back to its owners. A lot of these things have been set back over the past few years under the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government. This time at the UN Human Rights Councils, economic crimes have featured. We know that the government has given some indication that assets and liabilities of politicians and public officials will be monitored so that action can be taken if questions are raised. And also the government has given an undertaking that the Anti-Bribery and Corruption Commission will be made independent, and we are expecting those laws to be brought before Parliament this month. However, those laws won't suffice. Financial crimes are where leaders, presidents, prime ministers, ministers, prominent family members have actually stolen the assets of a country, and they have hidden them locally or internationally. The United Nations has a program called the STAR program, the Stolen Assets Recovery Program. We have demanded that the present government of Sri Lanka brings a law to persist with stolen assets recovery. This is absolutely essential. We have a new president in Eran Wickramaratne, just making proclamations that we are going to go behind those who have robbed won't do. A law must be brought. A stolen assets recovery law has to be brought. Needs to be brought immediately. And there has been silence on the part of the government. That is not acceptable. In addition to that, because we are talking about economic crimes, we have to pursue those who have committed these crimes. In Sri Lanka, the Attorney General's office is the advisor to the government. As we all know, in some countries, as it's a part of the government, the Attorney General sits on the cabinet of members in those countries. In Sri Lanka, not only is the Attorney General advisor to the government, the Attorney General is also the main public prosecutor. There's clearly a conflict of interest, and therefore we haven't seen many significant prosecutions of politicians or high public officials in the last several decades. The time has now come that Sri Lanka needs an independent public prosecutor. Just over the last 12 months, those who have got bribes from Yabas to actually for Sri Lanka to procure Yabas aircrafts, who have been, Yabas was convicted in the British courts and Sri Lankans were named. But what has the Attorney General's Department done about that? Where are the prosecutions in this country? What's the progress on the prosecutions? We know the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, under the guidance of the then Governor Nivad Cabral, hired agents in the US, basically to promote the image of Sri Lanka. Those agents were paid millions of dollars, and that agent, Mr. Zuberi, was convicted by a federal court in the US and sentenced to 12 years imprisonment. Why hasn't the Attorney General's Department rigorously pursued that case and then punish those who are responsible for proving such payments? Why hasn't the Attorney General's Department done that and done it very, very quickly? We have another situation where Jalia Wickramasuri, a Sri Lankan ambassador, has recently, in the last 12 months, all the cases I'm referring to in the last 12 months, has been convicted in a US court. It's for an attempt to fraudulently take money while being the Sri Lankan ambassador in the United States of America. Convicted in the United States of America. But the question is, why hasn't the Attorney General's Department rigorously pursued those who have committed these financial crimes in this country. I only named 3. And the reason I named the 3 is because there are 3 public convictions in foreign jurisdictions. What is the responsibility? Ultimately, the people who have been played out are Sri Lankans, citizens and taxpayers. Where is the justice? That is why we say that the time has now come, not only for a stolen assets recovery law, but also to have an independent public prosecutor in this country, so that we can get off that list of countries which have committed economic crimes.